Yeah,
Okay. I was talking to a cousin. He's an electronics engineer,
uh-huh.
and the conversation was, I was thinking that if you created a device, because all this is in the air,
Uh-huh.
if you created a device similar to a computer, you could pick up anything because it's all in the air. And it's just like on
Yeah, it's just like radio waves.
yeah. So I understand what you're saying,
Uh-huh.
but I think that might be something that other people don't understand.
Yeah. Well, it's just like your phones, right?
Right.
What channel does your phone operate off of?
I don't know.
You don't know? Yeah, 2.4.
Okay.
A lot of, if you have the headsets around the house, a lot of people have the base, but then they have the little headsets.
Okay.
That works off of 2.4.
Okay.
So with that said, yes, there are a lot of different things that can mess with that frequency and that can be utilized in that frequency. That's another thing that people don't know. So let's say you go to the store and you just buy a router, right? And you bring it home, you set it up with all the default settings because you don't know too much, but you just want to get it set up. If you don't know about different channels and all that, and to look to see who's using the channel, what if you have 10 other people that's got a similar router or the same router in your neighborhood, and y'all all on the same channel? That channel is congested then, and you can have problems because of that. But for somebody like me who knows, I'm not just going to come to your house and just set up the router with the default settings. I'm going to check to see how many people around you are using the channel that you're using, right? And make sure that I pick the least used channel. Now,
Okay.
yeah, and what that does, it just makes sure that, you stay uncongested. Now, there is a setting, I believe, where you can do automatic, but I've seen it change, and sometimes it'll still kind of put you on a congested channel. It won't do as good of a job. So I personally like to just do that manually, but that's up to each individual.
Okay. Because my neighbor could be using the same channel that I'm using.
Right.
And maybe somebody down the street could be doing the self-same thing.
That's exactly right. Or what if you're in the middle and you have a neighbor on the left, neighbor on the right, and some routers are strong enough to even catch across the street. Now let's add to that, right? So you have a neighbor on the left, neighbor on the right, neighbor across the street. People can have buddy packages where I know you can do this with Cox. What if they have two different networks in one household?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So they could have two in this household, two in that household, because they may have somebody living with them or whatever. They have two different accounts, right? So now you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, and say the person across the street only have one. Now you have 5 different networks competing on the same channel. That's a lot of stuff competing, devices competing on the same channel.
So this would eliminate that.
Well, what it does is you no longer have to pick. The mesh networks they seem to be a little bit smarter, and the technology is a little bit different.
Okay.
Like I know for the Eero system, they use a whole separate type of, and I don't know as much about it as I probably should, but they use a whole separate type of channel or whatever. It's like, unless somebody else has an Eero system, they're not using what Linksys and Netgear and some of the other places are. So it's like nobody around you would be using that, so you have no interference.
But when you say interference,
Or congestion might be a better term rather than interference.
okay, but if you're broadcasting in the open air,
Uh-huh.
how could that be congested?
Because it's information, and I mean,
I mean,
just because you're broadcasting open air, something still has to receive that,
right.
right? And okay, so I'm trying to think of how to explain this. So we're sending packets of information between us, right?
Right.
And let's say you have a mail slot size hole,
Mm-hmm.
for me to send you information. So if I'm sending you stuff, it's going to be pretty simple, right? I send you something, it goes through the mail slot, it comes to you.
Right.
If Nicolette starts sending you stuff, it's going to be a little bit more congested.
Right.
If she starts sending me stuff, it's going to be a little bit more congested.
Right.
The more people you start trying to fit through that little small hole, or the more mail you start, or information you start trying to fit through that little small opening, it's just going to get more and more congested.
Because-
So eventually it's going to be a bottleneck.
Okay, yes, because you're receiving.
Yeah, you're constantly sending and receiving. And not to mention there's checks, right? So when I send you a bit of information, there's also a check that goes into saying, hey, did you get it?
Oh, okay.
You know, so that there's so much, depending upon how your network is set up, and you know, there's so many different things, because we could dive real deep into it.
Yeah.
There's so much that we don't see that happens over the airways,
Right.
that you just have no clue. Because that's what a lot of people talk about when they talk about collision detection. When you have several different computers on your network, right, you have to start worrying about collision detection, because so much information is being bounced around.
Okay. I'm not gonna go any further.
No problem, no problem.
And the reason why, I think this technology at this time is almost like on an infinitesimal scale,
Hmm.
and people have not come to understand the minimum amount of.
No, I agree. I 100% agree.
When you look at the open air, when you look at broadcasting, when you look at receiving, it can be stopped. But you don't have to be able to receive it all.
Yeah, you have the choice on whether or not
Yeah.
you want to participate in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
This weekend I scanned and sent something to my sister, and it was my brother's tax pay, W-2. She didn't get it. Where did it go?
You should have gotten a message. You did that via email.
Well, I went to the mail and copy place right there on the Legion Hill, and they said their computer showed that it was sent.
Mm.
So I resent.
Okay, one or two things. If it said it was sent and you didn't get any kind of error message,
Somebody.
I would check the spelling and make sure.
But did somebody get it? That's my question.
Oh no,
Oh,
if that's what I'm about to tell you, if I would check the spelling of the email address you were supposed to send it to, because if it says sent and you didn't get a bounce back, meaning a reply saying this message was undeliverable,
and she didn't receive it.
and she didn't receive it, chances are there could be an incorrect spelling. That's option one. That's usually the most common. If there wasn't an incorrect spelling and it was the proper address, there could be some setting that she's missing.
Okay.
The other thing would be, did she check her spam folder?
Well, it turned out that we were supposed to put an L in there. So we put the L in there the third time. She still didn't get it.
Okay, so the first two, there was a misspelling.
Mm-hmm.
The third one, you put the L in and you sent it again, but she still didn't get it.
Right.
So I'm gonna tell you this: the first two, it went to whoever's email address you typed in. So it went somewhere.
That's why I told her she should have had that mail to her instead of email, because it was his tax, it was his W-2,
Right.
and I knew it had to go somewhere.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, I don't know.
It went somewhere.
I don't know how that can affect you. I guess you would maybe call an accountant or somebody and see how that, they can maybe better tell you how that can affect you.
Well, his taxes have already been done, but.
Right, but I don't know what protections or what you may need to do, or what items are on a W-2 that somebody might take advantage of.
Social security number.
Right,
Yeah,
so
something like a life lock or something, so that monitors your, everything attached to their social security, so that.
Yeah, that-
More security
Right.
protocols will be, enacted if they're trying to do something against that number.
Because I told her that, I asked her what was the importance of having it rushed scan.
Mhm.
People just tell you to do things with technology that doesn't make any sense. But when I spoke with her, she said it wasn't a rush, I could put it in the mail. So
uh-huh.
I told her next time, don't ask people to
No, I mean,
scan
You can email it, but you just have to be careful.
But what I'm saying is, if it's not a rush, see, a lot of people take technology to play with, they've just done nothing of it. They're
Do me a
just
favor,
sending
turn the light on.
information everywhere.
That's what a lot of young people do. If
Yeah,
it's
young
not
people
technology, they
just-
don't want food
yeah,
with
they
it.
quick to
Everything
Yeah.
is quick,
Right.
fast, and right
Thank you.
now.
And when she told me that it wasn't a rush, I told myself,
Well, more
I
importantly,
would have never scanned it.
again, see, this is where knowledge comes in, and this is where knowledge is powerful, right?
It is.
Did she send that encrypted? There's a way you can send encrypted emails.
That's a thought, maybe the company sent it encrypted, I need to ask them. So I was gonna-
Because if I'm sending any kind of sensitive data, I'm putting some kind of extra protection on that email. So that's another thing that you can kind of look into
That's a thought, yeah, I'll check with them.
and see, because I wouldn't have just said, if I'm sending W-2 or anything with any kind of sensitive information, I'm not just going to send a normal email.
So if you encrypt it, what happens? Anybody can't open it?
No. And you have to have a password. So in other words, when I send it to you, you won't be able to open it unless I give you the password.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that something, so that's something you just go into your computer and do?
Yeah. It's gonna be different for every different provider on how you do it.
Okay.
So depending upon if you have Gmail or Yahoo, there's different ways. But yes, you can encrypt it to where you send it, right? And I wouldn't email the password. I would call them and say, look, write this down,
Okay.
and then go ahead and type it in, because I don't want anybody to, if somebody was looking at me, I don't want them to intercept that email and say, okay, now I got the password.
Okay, well, that's a thought.
So that, yeah, you send an encrypted email, then on the other side, all you would have to call them and give them the password, and then they can retrieve the data.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
good to know. I'll ask.
Even on files like Word documents and Excel documents, you can put a password on those. So people can't even open them if they don't know the password. Now, don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, there's hackers and stuff that could probably open up anything. But the chances are those people, for your average people, to keep people honest, that would work. That would be more than enough to keep them out, because they're not going to have the knowledge or the time to even try to fool with something like that. So,
Okay. Yeah, this is beginning to be interesting.
No, it's been interesting.
Getting on 15.
Well,
That's-
what I mean is, I'm talking about the world of technology.
Yeah,
And, to me, it's like in an infinitesimal stage right now, because you're moving away from being able to access things through computers. And the information is out here.
Right.
in
That's
the
why
air.
they say technology is good and technology is bad.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Because once you put it out there,
It's the-
Well, but I'm
it's out there.
gonna tell you, this is the other thing to that people don't realize. It's out there no matter what, and I'm gonna tell you why. What you don't even realize is when you go to the doctor, what they do.
scan everything, internet,
You have to fill out this form.
They get your weight, your height, your blood type,
and they
all
put it
that,
in the
and they're putting it in the system. They're putting it in the computer, right? When
Before
you
they even ask you what's hurt.
that's a doctor,
Yeah,
that's a
because they
dentist.
wanna know who paid.
You know what I'm saying?
That's your vision folk.
Right. So there's all these places now that use computers. Your information is on the internet somewhere. So whether or not you want to use a Facebook or something like that, when you think about it in terms of, I don't want nobody to see my info and stuff like that, it's already out somewhere on the net. I'm pretty sure I can probably Google you and find some type of information about you.
of course.
We need to do that next
It's
time.
not, you're never completely off the grid,
Right.
especially
Right.
as long as you have a social security.
Exactly.
Right. Now, I'm pretty sure there's some exceptions to that rule, but generally speaking, you can find some kind of information about most people.
Like you
On
say,
the-
a hacker, they're so good, they could find whatever they're looking for.
Right.
Joe Blow citizen and. well,
Yeah, they're not gonna have the skills to do that.
Right.
So, you don't have to worry about Joe Blow down the street. Like, generally speaking, The person that you sent that email to, they're probably not going to read it. They're probably going to see this is not for me. It's trash. Most people think of stuff that they don't recognize. It's spam.
I don't open a lot of stuff that I don't know because it'll mess up, you can get a virus. So
Absolutely.
they probably won't even open it up if they don't recognize where it's coming from.
Preach. Tell them. Look, see that right there? That'll save your life because there's so many people who just open up every email. They just open up all the email. Don't do that. You have to look at what's coming in. If it's something not relevant to you, if it's something you're not expecting, delete it.
Right, immediately.
Go back a little bit, I'll corroborate what you're talking about. On my fax machine, people still using fax machines. I receive faxes from people all over the country, and they're faxing information to pharmacists, the doctors and all like that. They fax me prescriptions, and one number sends it to my house.
Yeah, they missed the hit.
Yeah,
hit
they
one
might.
number.
Yeah, one number difference, and that just happened to be yours.
And I'll fax it back to them because I don't know how important it is to the patient, because you never know what these people need, and
Right.
they don't get the information to the pharmacist, and they don't get the medicine.
Right.
So sometimes people don't like it, but I still send it back to them. Let them know that it didn't go to the pharmacist.
Right. And see, look, you're one of the good ones because a lot of people wouldn't even do that.
Right.
Well,
I'm the
I
one that
know how
wouldn't do it
important it is.
because I don't know where I'm sending.
Send it to,
you
yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
Because they could, even if I send you a wrong prescription and I don't, then call the pharmacist, they didn't get it. Say, doc, I need you to send another, you done paid this doctor, he'll send another one, believe me.
Well, I mean, that could be true, but it's the time in there that may make a difference.
Yeah.
You know.
Somebody may need this.
Right,
Right
I
now.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Send it back to them.
Well, but at the end of the day, we're talking about security and the security of your information. So, yes, you have to worry about it, but don't overthink it is what I would say. Don't panic because it's like, oh my God, my information is all over the web. It's not like,
When you reach that point where you don't panic, the more you learn about technology, you reach that point.
yeah.
That's
When
it.
you're not
No,
doing it.
fear is just the absence. Fear is just the absence of knowledge. Yeah.
It's the unknown.
Once you know,
Because y'all can all probably say how many of y'all are afraid of technology now as
No,
opposed to 6
right.
months ago.
Right.
Oh, I'm a little better.
It's not
Because
a
my
boogeyman.
whole
Right.
job was like a form thing.
right?
Tab and it go where you need it. Tab and it go
You
where you
do the
need it.
basic minimal functions.
Exactly.
But you have no idea.
Exactly.
And it was a boogeyman unless I want to press this button, that button safe.
Right, exactly. So
So,
I guess eventually technology, you're gonna always have, no matter what you use, have downfalls.
Yeah.
You just have to,
No, and that's the thing. A lot of people as well that I find, they go to work, they use a computer for what they use it for work for, and usually by the end of the day, they don't want to look at a computer.
that was me.
But there's so many things that a computer can do for you on a positive side. But if nobody ever explains it to you, if nobody ever tells you what can it do,
Right,
then you don't know.
exactly.
Real quick question.
Uh-huh.
When ARP said they make the computer is for senior citizens, there's certain things they're doing so that they make it easier for the person so that they won't be able to get themselves into areas where they will cause themselves problems. So why are they making it specifically for seniors?
I think they're just making the lettering the way I saw it. Somebody I know that got it, the
Okay.
computer, the lettering is larger.
Okay.
Like they're kind of making it larger, like if you have a little seeing problem. But it's nothing special about the computer itself.
Okay.
They're just making it like.
They're making
how
the
they say
changes,
easier
enhance
for
it.
the
Yeah.
senior citizen to use it. Like they'll have something that say, hit start, instead of you looking for it or
Okay.
press go. It kind of like walk you through every
Hardware
little
thing.
step.
So it's really hardware.
Right,
Well,
like,
would it,
more user-friendly.
right.
Yeah, what-
that.
to be honest, it's not anything more than what's already in your computer, to tell you the
Exactly.
truth. Because right now, I can show you on here how to go in and enlarge the font.
Right, that's That's right.
Right now, I can go and enable Cortana, which is a voice-activated assistant, where you could ask a Cortana, can you go to this website? Cortana, can you look up butterflies? Cortana, can you bring me to the control panel? No different than Siri, which is on the iPhones.
Right. And that's what I don't want, Katana, because I would Katana her to death. So I need to learn this for myself. I don't even use Siri either because that would be a handicap.
Yeah.
I would never learn it. I would always say, go do
It would be voice control.
Right.
So and you know, so when they say that these computers are for seniors, yes, it's just that they're doing the legwork up front. So by the time you get it, it's all those features that they deem would be beneficial and easier, right, for you. It's already set. So, but it's usually not the case that your computer can't do exactly what their computer is doing. So, you know, and I mean, for a lot of my older folks, I'm helping them set their computers up on TV. So instead of this little small screen that, you know, you see right here, when you see it on a TV, like you've been down to Miss Linda in the rectory, we have her set up on a TV.
Yeah.
I have dozens of people like that now. It's,
So they just switch with the input button.
yes. So when you do that, it's going to go typically through a HDMI, right? You plug a HDMI cable to the computer, plug one to the TV, and yes, you just switch the inputs, and you can go between TV or the computer.
So it's just a matter of plugging it in and disconnecting.
Pretty much. And what you could do, what I show a lot of people to do, is you leave a cord connected into your TV and just leave it kind of hanging, dangling. So whenever you're ready, you just plug it in and it pops right up. It's not even any configuring you really have to do. In most cases, I'll say that. In most cases, it'll just, you plug it in, power the computer on, or if the computer is already on, you plug it in, it's just gonna pop right up. So you don't have to really do too much anything. Now, in some cases, there does need to be some configuration, but you know, it's not. Yeah, it's rare.
So that's what the next step will be.
Yep.
And I'll be able to, I'll do things like, I like National Geographic.
Oh, I love National Geographic.
I like work channels, you know, like
Mhm.
carpentry and stuff like that.
HGTV.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was just watching yesterday, Men Catching Tuna,
Okay.
because my wife loves tuna, and she didn't know what or how big actual tuna was. And I'm like, look, honey, we're gonna sit down and watch this show. So they showed these men and how they actually go about catching them. But I was showing her that these fish are like 300-400 pounds. They're bigger than us. You know, so she had no idea. She thinking it's just this little bitty, this little bitty thing, right? And it's this big, huge fish. So I mean, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to watch it. And you can even get a little bit further advanced because then they have the Chromecast, which is another thing we set up with Ms. Smith, where you can cast it. So let's say, I'll give you a breakdown. So we're in a living room. All right. Now you can have your computer hooked up to the TV, but let's say you don't want to, right? Let's say you want your computer, you're sitting on your couch, you have one of those breakfast tables, you have your laptop right here. All right. You could have a Chromecast hooked up to the TV. It's a little device. You plug in the HDMI and you can hit a button. Whatever you're looking at on your computer, it'll show it on the TV.
Okay.
I do it with my phone too.
Oh, you
I
do?
have because for the most part, I'm really not home.
Okay.
So a lot of things I watch on my phone, but when I come home, I have my Chromecast and my TV, and I can cast Netflix
From the
straight
phone
TV.
to the TV.
Or if I go by a friend of mine's house, he also has a Chromecast.
Mhm.
He's like, hey, have you seen this show? No, go ahead and put it on. You know.
So I need a Chromecast in the living room.
If you want to be able to do that, yes. If you want to be able to cast it to the living room, yes.
So how much does that cost?
$35.
35. Yep. One time.
It's unbelievable.
That's-
What I like about it,
Again, if you don't know, you don't know.
you don't even know you don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
ignorance is
Something like that.
wow.
For sure, it's awesome. It's $35 one time, as long as you have it.
Yeah.
So all I want to do is install it. That's it.
Pretty much, you install it. There's a little setup process in it, but once you go through the setup, there's a
It's
button.
extremely easy, they walk you through it.
Yeah.
On that.
They explain everything, but once you hit that button, it's like boop, and everything is on the TV.
You know, I don't have to look at television no more. I can look at.
You can look at whatever you're looking at on your computer, YouTube or Netflix or whatever it is, you can look at on the TV.
Sometimes even a website,
Yeah.
if you want to.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, if I'm doing something on my laptop, I just don't want to, and I just, all right, cast, and I can just work from there.
Yeah, because now you got wireless keyboard and mice, so you don't have to, you don't have to be at the TV, like right in front of the TV. You could be sitting on your couch comfortably, computer right there, and keyboard and mouse in your lap. So
So I'll get that today.
Okay.
that'll work.
Yeah, they sell them at Best Buy, Walmart, Target, Amazon, and the
Which
thing
is the
about
best place to go
Chromecast,
to get the most efficient.
all of them pretty much sell the same.
Yeah, it's the same
It's
device.
all the same thing,
Yeah.
and it's price fixed, so nobody sells one cheaper. That's one item that's kind of price fixed, it's $35 everywhere.
Yeah,
Chromecast.
Chromecast.
Google Chromecast.
If you want to see what it looks like, you can come to my house. I have it.
Yeah, now I do think they have like I said, again, just know this, they do have a higher one that I think is 50 something, but that's only for the if you have a 4K TV. If you don't have a 4K TV, you can get the one for 35.
So.
If
so
you
if we don't have a 4K,
$35.
it's $35. So if I do get a 4K,
Then you want to get the one for 50. Yeah, you do.
It's a
Oh,
$50.
I mean, you could use the old one, but you won't be able to cast the 4K content. So you.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Hit the light for me.
Oh, okay.
And see, again, this is good because if you don't have a smart TV, right, it gives you access to YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, HBO, CBS, Pandora. So it essentially turns an older TV that's not a smart TV into a smart TV with that device.
So pretty much it's like those telling you those websites are Chromecast friendly.
Yeah.
So if you pull up YouTube, it'll give you that icon or give you a question, do you want to cast to your TV? Because they sense the presence of that nearby. Do you want to cast or you want to continue watching it where you watch? Oh, I want to cast. You know,
Yeah.
so that's pretty much.
And can we just verify if you could check the pricing? I just want to make sure I was
Swing?
no for Chromecast.
Oh.
Just put in Chromecast price. Oh, you know what? Yeah, just zoom out. Hold the control button.
Control and,
Zoom the mouse wheel. I think backwards.
oh, mouse wheel.
Oh, well, yeah, that would kind of do it.
30 to $60.
Yeah, look. See 35.
Okay.
Yeah,
100
35.
stores plus. And,
And that's the okay. So the Ultra 4K is 60, 70. So it's a little bit more.
so I
But
just need the, what is that $12 thing?
that's the old. That's the first generation.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually the one that I have because I got it so long ago. That's what I'm using. But I mean, if you can find those, it'll work. But it's better to get the next generation because they're gonna have some improvements and stuff in them.
They're phasing out of that, they're phasing out of this one.
Yeah, they're getting away from that old one. So I would say go with the next version.
So if you look, Best Buy, Walmart, $35 right here.
Yeah.
Bed Bath and Beyond,
Hmm.
$35. So, Office Depot, $35.
Right. So they're pretty much all over the place.
It's pretty much price
It's
fixed.
coded. So who puts that out?
Google.
No, I mean, the company.
What do you mean? Google.
Google?
Yeah.
I didn't know they manufactured stuff.
Uh huh.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Google, I think, wasn't Google trying to come out with a smartphone? And don't they, doesn't
Google
have
has
a laptop
Google
now?
has a small. I mean, have a phone. And yes, the Chromebook.
Yeah, yeah, they manufacture it.
No,
So,
wow. Okay.
like Microsoft manufactures stuff, like the Xbox, that's a Microsoft,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
machine.
So.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, so that is Monday's class. I hope this has been informative for you. If you're in New Orleans and you're interested, we do this every Monday at 10 o'clock. And you can reach us by 504-383-3259. Or you can go to the website at www.ittsme.com. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next class.
You know,